Winter had come to the island of Sodor. Snow came earlier and heavier than usual. High drifts of snow on the railway lines had often made the engines late with their trains. Some engines often left their usual jobs for the day and helped to clear the lines of their snowplows. The engines who usually did this were the Scottish twins on the main line, with Thomas, Duck, and Edward on the branch lines. But there wasn't much snow on Thomas's line, and he was chuffing down the line with Annie and Clarabelle with his first afternoon train. That night, Thomas had returned home to Tidmouth Sheds. All of the other engines except for Percy and Edward were jealous. None of them said a word about how lucky Thomas was, not having to wear a snowplow because of how much snow was on his line.
Silly engines,
he muttered cheerfully to himself. The next day, as Thomas left to collect Annie and Clarabelle from Knapford, Gordon and Henry were plotting something on Thomas. They then noticed Bill and Ben puffing past from the big harbor, and the two engines told their plan to Bill and Ben. As Thomas backed down onto his coaches, Gordon had backed down onto his first express train, whilst Henry puffed up alongside Gordon with some trucks. "Have you heard about the snowstorm?" asked Henry. "Certainly not," replied Gordon. "What about you, Thomas?"
No, Gordon. What is this snowstorm you speak of?
"Well, it's supposed to come later on tonight, and it's supposed to leave a big blanket of snow on this side of the island." "It looks like you'll need your snowplow after all." Thomas was cross. Later that evening, Thomas had reached Tidmouth Station, and when he was about to leave, the station master ran up. "Excuse me," he said, "may I have a word with you two?" As Thomas's crew stepped out of the cab, Bill and Ben puffed past.
Watch out for the snow tonight, Thomas. Yeah, don't get all snowed up in that tunnel on your branch line of yours.
The driver and fireman then came back with news for Thomas. Snow has fallen on the line into Henry's tunnel, and the line near Farmer McColl's is undergoing maintenance due to some faulty points. You'll have to sleep in your old sheds for the night, Thomas.
Cheer up, Thomas,
said Annie and Clarabelle.
We'll be with you in the sheds for the night.
This made Thomas feel better. Meanwhile, at Tidmouth Sheds, Gordon and Henry heard the snow outside the sheds as well. They didn't know that what they said was true. Now they felt bad for what happened to Thomas. The next morning, Thomas had woken up to all the snowdrifts all around Tidmouth Station. Thomas's driver soon arrived with some bad news for Thomas. "Thomas, your snowplow is back at Tidmouth Sheds, and the track to Henry's tunnel is all cleared up thanks to Donald and Douglas," he said. Thomas was upset. He didn't like wearing his snowplow one bit. Soon, Thomas was puffing down his branch line with Annie and Clarabelle, and he had to work hard to clear the lines of snow. Thomas soon puffed under the bridge of Dry-Off, just in time to see Bill and Ben stuck in a snowdrift.
This is all your fault, Ben. No, it's your fault, Bill. You should have braked hard when we've gotten to the bridge.
Thomas could see that Bill and Ben were stuck, and he knew that it served them right for teasing him at Tidmouth Station. But regardless of Bill and Ben's tricks, Thomas was kind enough to ask his driver to call for help at Maithwaite. Soon, Toby had arrived with workmen to dig Bill and Ben out of the snow. Bill and Ben's fires had gone out, so Thomas took the two engines back to Tidmouth to load up on some coal to warm their fireboxes. It wasn't long until Bill and Ben were keeping warm inside their fireboxes. Gordon and Henry then arrived to apologize to Thomas and explained what they had done.
It's all right,
Thomas said.
Next time, be careful on the tricks you try to pull on our smaller engines, especially if it'll land Bill and Ben in trouble.
Gordon and Henry would now consider Thomas's words and would never play tricks on Thomas again, even if he had a big opportunity.